The Wally Show podcast is our daily radio show heard live through the WayFM app each morning and hosted by Wally, Gavin, and me, Betty Rock. For more fun, be sure to connect with us at wayfm.com/Wally.
The Wally Show podcast is brought to you by Colorado Christian University Online, where Wally teaches and where you can earn a degree online just like Betty Rock. You can learn more at ccu.edu/Wally. This podcast is also brought to you by United Faith Mortgage. Let their direct lender advantage save you time and money.
Uplifting WayFM, this is The Wally Show. And recently we had speaker, author, evangelist, podcaster, and best-selling author Christine Caine on the show to talk about her new book, Don't Look Back, Get Unstuck, and Moving Forward with Passion and Purpose. And, first of all, in this conversation, you have to discuss some of the reasons that people, even believers, get stuck in the first place.
Whichever way we turn, you wake up every day and there is this sense of dread, there is this sense of loss. So you start playing defensive, not offensive. And see, in the kingdom of God, we are here and we're sent ones. We're sent to be light and salt in a lost and a broken world. We're called to, partner with God and co-labor with him in the kingdom to bring his mercy and his grace and his compassion and his truth and his beauty into a lost world. Well, it's hard to do that when you're feeling stuck, when in your own life you're trying to just work through your own pain, your own bitterness, your own loss, your own grief, your own offense. And, I think all of us have got to make a decision at some point that this isn't what Jesus died for me to get stuck in this moment. And, anyone that knows my background knows that I come from a background where I was left in a hospital unnamed and unwanted when I was born. I was the victim of childhood sexual abuse for over a decade, which makes you stuck in shame, unforgiveness, bitterness, loss and grief, the loss of a childhood, the loss of safety, the loss of security, all of those things play out in your life. And I think at some point there comes a place where Jesus Christ died on a cross, rose again from the dead, and we have to start at a point where we make what Jesus did for us bigger than anything that happened to us. And from that point, we can begin to move forward.
This is just the tip of the iceberg. We talked to her for like 30 minutes. So I want to play some of the highlights that if this is resonating with you, great. If you want to share it with somebody that you know is kind of stuck themselves and you think it will help out, that's awesome. And we make it really easy. Just text the word stuck, S-T-U-C-K, stuck, to 91979 and we'll send you a link. She did mention something we're going to talk about in 10 minutes that I found fascinating, is that the only woman that Jesus mentioned in the Bible was Lot's wife, and what role that plays in looking back in our lives. And so we'll do that in 10 here on The Wally Show. Uplifting WayFM, this is The Wally Show. And recently we got a chance to sit down long form style and talk with author and speaker, evangelist, and best-selling author Christine Caine on the show about her new book, Don't Look Back, Getting Unstuck and Moving Forward with Passion and Purpose. And the subtext of this book is all about not looking back. And I thought Christine had this really interesting take on Jesus actually mentioning Lot's wife and kind of what happened when she looked back.
He says, remember Lot's wife. So that started me thinking, if Jesus is telling us to remember this one woman, and this is the one woman that we don't talk about, and yet it's the only woman that he tells us to remember. So while Sodom and Gomorrah is burning down, and the angel of the Lord comes and literally is holding them by the hand in that passage in Genesis 19. So, she was like touched by an angel, for sure. And so, they're coming out. The only thing the angel of the Lord says is don't look back. And she does the one thing that the angel of the Lord said don't do. And I don't blame her, because how many of us have spent the last few years looking back.
Right.
Because we do. And this could apply to anyone, a mum looking back at when her kids were younger and wondering, man, what's happened now? Looking back at a failed marriage, looking back wishing you had had kids and it hadn't happened, looking back at before someone died of a terminal illness that you were believing God would heal them. I don't think we should get angry. There's a reason, there's a longing oftentimes. And she could have just renovated her kitchen for all I know.
Right.
I don't know. She's like looking back. But in the scripture, that word is more like she was looking back with a longing, and lingering, like wanting to go back. That was the inference there, is wanting to go back. And then she turns, as we all know, into a pillar of salt. And to me, it was so symbolic
I was wondering, why not turn to stone? Why not turn to pudding? And why salt?
Because I'm constantly thinking we're called to be salt and light.
Right.
And salt calcified can't help anybody. Instead of salting the earth in the future that we're called to, we're going to become calcified in a present that keeps us locked in our past. Instead of fixing our eyes on Jesus, who is the author and the finisher of our faith, who is calling us forward into his plan and his purpose and his provision, and that's all forward, and it's not back.
If you like what you're hearing from Christine Caine, we have a lot of it, and there's a lot of good stuff. If you just text the word STUCK to 91979, that's STUCK to 91979, we'll send you a link so you can hear the whole long-form interview. And coming up in 10, we are going to address one of the big things that keep us stuck, and that's why does a good God allow suffering? And I think maybe you'll like her take, especially when you hear what she's been through in her life and how she can move past it. It might help you or somebody you know. So we'll do that in 10 right here on The Wally Show. Uplifting Way FM, this is The Wally Show, and we had Christine Caine on. Her new book, Don't Look Back, Getting Unstuck and Moving Forward with Passion and Purpose. I think it's a really good concept for a lot of people that spend their lives stuck, and it would be easy to say, oh, that's great, Christine, you wrote a book about being stuck, but you're a speaker, an author, evangelist. What do you know about being stuck? And that's where you would be wrong, because she has a horrific story of abuse in her life from a young age. But how she sees it might really help you or someone else today.
I had experienced abuse, which is so wrong and so bad, and it causes so much damage. And so for a decade, I was used for a purpose for which God never designed me. But why would I give the devil any more time than he already took from me? And, I'm 57 now. So that means for, over 45 years, I haven't been being abused. So I am not going to allow one moment to dictate my entire life. Now, does healing need to happen? Yes.
Sure.
Is there a process? And, with the help of therapy and great Christian counseling and the scriptures and great community. But is there a life beyond your past? Absolutely. And that's what I want to tell people. Your history does not need to define your destiny. That there is a life beyond our past, and there is a resurrection life that can be found in Christ.
Sadly, your story is not uncommon to a lot of people. But the one question that I'm sure you wrestled with that always comes up, how did God allow this to happen? I have to imagine that A, that's a question you wrestled with, and B, one that people need to hear. How did you reconcile that?
Totally, Wally. That is possibly the greatest argument against Christianity. If God is a good God, how could a good God allow this much pain, this much suffering? And I think there is no answer that I can give that is ultimately going to be good enough. You're going to have to wrestle this with God. Where it is settled for me is that we live in a fallen world. And I know for some people that'll be, well, that's a great cop-out. If your God is so good, why doesn't he just intervene? The fact is, he has intervened in the affairs of humanity, in the fact that Jesus Christ came to earth and died on a cross and rose again. It's not entirely finished, but he's also coming back again. So the thing that gives me hope is that I know we don't yet live in a new heaven and a new earth. I know that we are living in between the already and not yet. So I wait for all things to be redeemed. There will be a day where there will be no more human trafficking. There will be no more abuse. There will be no more school shootings. There will be no more violence and pain and suffering and loss and grief and tears. That's what keeps me in this. Without that hope, I would be utterly hopeless.
I know all of us in the room kind of walked away from our conversation with Christine Caine like, wow, that lady is powerful and insightful. Love it. If you want to see the whole conversation, just text the word STUCK to 91979. We'll send you a link that's STUCK to 91979. I got one more thing I want to play for you because it's something we in Christian circles talk about all the time. Finding God's will for my life. It seems like this elusive moving target, and she had a really great perspective on that, and we'll do that in 10 right here on The Wally Show with Christine Caine. Uplifting Way FM, this is The Wally Show, and we recently got to sit down with author Christine Caine, and I know a lot of women love her conferences and books and podcasts and stuff, and she was honestly super impressive, and she was talking about her book, Don't Look Back, Getting Unstuck and Moving Forward with Passion and Purpose, and we talked about finding God's will or purpose for our lives, because it seems to be this elusive thing for some people, and it really messes with them, and this was her advice if you find yourself kind of in that place.
I mean, this is the God that created the universe. Honey, if you made a wrong move with a sincere heart, he's going to get you back on course. I'm very much of the theory, step out to find out. You won't know if it's God's will until you step out. Like, I did not wake up one day and go, I'm going to teach around the world and write books and, rescue the victims of human trafficking. I just started. I started serving in my local youth ministry. I just think we've got to get out of this picture of like, I think I'm called to do this at 20 or 30. I'm like, okay, I'm 57 and I can say to you, I'm still not sure. Like, I still don't.
But you show up.
I still show up every day.
Yeah.
And yet I can tell you with all integrity, I still don't think I'm actually doing the thing that I may leave my greatest legacy for the kingdom on earth.
Wow.
I still feel like it's brewing inside of me. And stats would tell you that your most fruitful years, your most fruitful decade is between 60 and 70.
Hey, there's hope for you.
Come on.
Hey, I'm close to you. I'm only a few years younger.
That's your most fruitful decade. So, I think because we sort of oftentimes, even in the Christian church, can mistaken it with Hollywood, that you think, who's the next young one? So 60 to 70 should be my most fruitful years. My second most fruitful are 70 to 80, and my third most fruitful is the decade I'm in now, 50 to 60. So where we think it's 20, 30, 40, then you're out to pasture.
Right.
I'm like, that's just your building blocks and your foundational building blocks, because God's not calling shooting stars to be awesome at 20, 30, and 40, but lighthouses that are still going to be there at 60, 70, and 80.
Yeah.
So you're more useful, just everything hurts more.
Well, not necessarily.
So if you've heard anything that you liked in this so far, but you missed stuff or you want to go a little bit deeper, it's a long conversation. We did like 35 minutes, but it's really good. Just text the word STUCK. That's STUCK to 91979, and we'll send you a link to our full interview with author Christine Caine.
Wally fancies himself a bit of an amateur first responder.
What can I say? I like to help.
But you're not qualified. I would trust you more if you went to Colorado Christian University. They have degrees for working professionals who want to make a difference in this world.
You know what, Rock? You're right. Maybe I should look into their campus event and organizational safety program. It's a fully online degree designed to equip you with cutting-edge but practical, timely skills to further your criminal justice career and help you protect the innocent people at places like churches and schools.
Plus, the Master of Science in Criminal Justice program is 36 credit hours, and it can be completed in as little as 15 months with full-time study.
So start a degree in 2023 so you can do more in 2024. CCU also has a generous policy for transferring credits. In fact, you can even get a scholarship just for transferring credits.
Criminal justice can be an exciting but challenging career, and we need people who are not only professionals but also believers. That's why Colorado Christian University makes sure all of their courses integrate a biblical worldview.
Find out more at ccu.edu. Colorado Christian University is a nonprofit impact partner committed to cultivating the mind without compromising the heart.
Uplifting Way FM.
Stories served with a side of Southern sass.
You're breaking my hair.
I mean charm. Here's Betty Rock.
When I say bridezilla, what kind of adjectives come to mind?
Entitled.
Oh, insane.
We didn't even have to pause.
Well, one former bride is taking the term bridezilla to a whole new level. Recently, a wedding photographer, Lance, he got a text from a woman claiming she had hired him as her wedding photographer 4 years ago. And while she loved his work and the moments he was able to capture, she informed him that she was filing for divorce. And because of this, the woman asked that Lance give her a full refund on the photos he had taken because she, quote, doesn't need them anymore.
That is, who in their right mind thinks that is going to happen? Like, maybe she's just so hurt. This is me being compassionate. Maybe she's just so hurt. Gavin, this is weird.
This is surprising.
This is odd territory. Let me just be Captain Compassion for a second. Maybe she's just so hurt. She's just trying to figure this out. And it's closure for her somehow. But it seems insane.
Well, and two, like, if it had happened closer to the ceremony,
but not 4 years later.
Not 4 years later, yeah. And of course, Lance, he sent a text back saying that that's impossible. He can't give a full refund. He can't, quote, untake the pictures.
Right.
But this woman refused to take no for an answer, even going as far as to threaten getting lawyers involved.
Please do. Yeah, please. At that point, you're like, I've just Captain Compassion just took off his hat, and now I'm into no, absolutely not.
Well, the woman's now ex-husband got word of the recent text interaction, and he got in contact with Lance himself and said, quote, "I apologize on her behalf. So embarrassing."
Yeah, if I'm her husband, I become Lance's new best friend. Like, just to make a point.
Oof.
I can't even imagine. There are some things that people do that I can't even imagine the gall. Like, there are like somebody's used something for a long time and then they just return it to Costco because Costco will take it back, you know? Like, I can't even fathom that. This takes that times a million.
Yeah.
And to go like to somebody and say, well, my thing didn't work out, so you owe me a full refund.
No.
Absolutely
That's
not.
not how it works. But I think it is a good learning tool because wedding photographers need to have that in their contracts. Like, if you divorce, there's a certain amount of time. Like, you can't get a
even a day. Like, it's not your fault.
That's true. Like, you can't untake photos. So.
Unless you divorced over my bad photos, then maybe I will.
If I'm the reason for your breakup,
exactly. Then we can talk. Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show, and it is Betty Rock's birthday, kind of.
Yes.
Not her actual day, but we're going to be doing support drive during her birthday, which you're welcome.
The gift that keeps on giving.
Sorry.
Exactly. And so it is her birthday today, and she has before her a 6 packages, all in Buc-ee's wrapping paper, because she loves herself some Buc-ee's. So we are going to do a very Buc-ee's birthday, okay?
Ooh, I like it.
You have 6 presents right now. And your job in this game is to keep those presents. I'm going to ask you questions about Buc-ee's. And then each time you get a question wrong, you have to give one of the presents back. You can pick which one you want to give back by feel or size or whatever, okay?
Okay.
So here we go. We'll start off easy. In which state did Buc-ee's begin? You should know this.
Texas.
Absolutely. You got all 6 of your presents. Now, I'm assuming you know a little bit about the history of Buc-ee's. I'm sure it's percolated in your head there. And
I don't know.
okay. Buc-ee's got its nickname combining the founder's childhood nickname and what?
Beavers, because Buc-ee's is a beaver. It's a gas station.
That sounds right-ish.
Ish, yeah. I mean,
like it's another name for a beaver.
No.
Buc-ee is a beaver.
No, I know. It was the name of his childhood Labrador Retriever, Buck. And his name actually was Beaver, Arch Beaver Alpin.
What?
Yeah, it was his nickname. And so, okay, pick one to give back.
Aw.
Feel through them.
Should it be handed to me?
Yes, it should be handed to you,
Okay.
Gavin. You'll be the keeper of the presents.
All right.
Something I'd like.
Okay.
This one-
You know,
that
shake
one's
a few
heavy.
things?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's heavy. I'm gonna give. I might regret it.
Oh, the big one.
Oh!
But it's very light. But it could be like
yeah.
a gift card or something.
It
That
could,
would be
you
funny.
never know. Okay, so she's down to 5 presents. Here we go. You've been to the Buc-ee's in Crossville, Tennessee.
I have.
You
So
went there.
good.
Yeah.
Very simple question. How many gas pumps are at that Crossville? Did you count? Because I
No.
did. You didn't count. It was so amazing. They're so huge.
Does she have a plus or minus 10
I'm giving
range?
her plus or minus 5.
Ooh.
5.
100.
Okay.
I like it.
And?
I like it.
50?
Ooh.
I thought she was going to say 115, which...
That's
did you
what I
say,
heard.
Wait, did you say 115 or 150?
Yeah.
I did say 115.
Oh, it's 100.
No, I said
What?
150.
You said 150? Are you sure?
Well, I don't know now. 150.
150? Okay, it's actually 120.
That was rude.
So, okay, pick another one to give back.
Oh,
You
jeez.
might have a chance to redeem it at the end.
I'm going to give away this flat one.
Okay, give away the flat one. Okay, here we go. It's a very Buc-ee's Betty birthday. Instead of if instead of Buc-ee's you were at a place that had Buckeyes, what state would you be in?
Ohio.
There you
Nice.
go. Nicely done.
Thank
You
you.
retained your presents. She's giving back 2. She
Yep.
has 4 left. Okay. This one should be easy. You've been in the Buc-ee's. You know what they yell. When employees all yell as they're making their signature sandwich, what are they yelling? And I'll give you the first part of it. Fresh brisket! Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fresh biscuit.
Mm-hmm.
Ready.
Oh, no.
Ready to go?
No.
No! Gavin, you finish it. Fresh brisket!
On the block? Or is it
no on the board on the cutting board?
Oh, I was semi-close.
board.
Oh, okay. Give another one back. This is not going well for you.
You've made this too difficult.
I thought this was easy,
Thought you'd
honestly.
been there.
Okay, this one should be easy. You have 3 left, so you're doing okay. I'm glad I kept my receipt.
How many questions do you have?
I kept my receipt. This is the last one here. Okay. I love their cotton candy saltwater taffy so much that you've limited me to 5 pieces per day. The serving size is 5 pieces. How many calories is the serving size? You did the math on this that one time.
I did.
Is it 110, 120, or 210 per serving?
110, 120, or one what?
Or 210?
One.
Yeah, what was it?
110.
110. Final answer?
I'm sticking with it, even though you have the weird look on your face.
It is 120.
Dad, tell me.
All right, give another one back.
I don't want your presents.
You're not
Want
giving
'em
them.
anyway.
Okay, well, we're going to come back here. We're going to open and see what she got to keep, and hopefully it's the good stuff. And then there is a chance that maybe you could get some of these back. So we'll do that in 10 on Betty's Bucky birthday here on The Wally Show on Way FM. Uplifting Way FM, this is The Wally Show. We are celebrating Betty Rock's birthday, and she's pretty amazing. So I got her 6 gifts, and then we always play little games for stuff. And she had to get questions right to keep those gifts. She missed 4 of 6 questions. So the good news is, let's focus on the positive. She has 2 gifts, and I think one of the best gifts she retained. But let's open up the 4 that you missed and see what you lost
That I
out
don't
on.
get to
that
keep?
you do not get to keep. So let's see what you missed out on.
And you're making her open them?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they're all wrapped in Bucky's paper because she loves Bucky's, and it's a very Bucky's birthday.
It's a Bucky's coloring and activity book with
I know.
the crayons.
I know, and you love
But
that.
I really want that.
I know you do. Hand that to Gavin, please. So that was the first one.
Gosh.
Yeah, Gavin, you can have that.
The crayons
No,
are cute.
it's not his birthday.
I don't even
forgot to
like
tell you.
coloring.
I don't get it. Nobody gets
No,
it.
Gavin actually gets all the presents you lost.
Stop looking at it, Gavin.
Tic-tac-toe.
It's mine.
Okay, what's the next one you missed out on?
Oh.
A Bucky's T-shirt?
Yeah, and it's
Is
a
it
good
my
one
size?
too.
No,
You're-
stop it. It's a small. You can't even squeeze into it.
but you should. And so
Yes.
yeah, so you got a
I
Bucky's
want that
T-shirt.
too.
We'll do that later. It's
Okay.
a really good, like, rustic-looking one.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It has like it's in specific to the place
The
we're at.
background is so
This is the
cute.
3rd present of Bucky's that she missed out on.
Keep your mouth
Oh, man.
shut.
Wow.
Oh, this one's not a Bucky's gift. Oh, this one you're
Really?
gonna be sad
you got
about.
her
Yeah,
non-bucket.
one.
What?
Oh, yeah.
It's a cup holder for your cart.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Give it to Gavin.
No, I need this.
If you still have the receipt, you're
Yeah.
good.
No.
I got her a cart for all of her stuff every day she wheels in, and she's complained for a year that she doesn't have a cup holder.
You know what? If you don't give it back to me,
Yeah.
I will continue to complain.
And who doesn't have a who has a cart for their stuff, and B who complains about not having a cup holder? But so she didn't get
Entitled
that.
people.
Okay, what was this one?
This one looks
This
like.
this was Bucky's too.
Oh,
What?
it's a crew neck.
Yeah.
A Bucky's
Or a
jacket?
quarter zip.
It's a really nice Bucky's one, and it's the subtle logo like your hat.
That's good
I
quality.
need this.
I know. I am so sorry.
No, it's not his size.
But I think it'll fit his wife. So
Yeah, actually, she loves
my
Bucky's.
Okay.
Gosh.
So is that the last of the gifts
Yes,
you lost?
this is
Okay.
the worst
well, let's
birthday
do this.
ever.
Let's focus on the things you got. Okay. So
Yeah.
open that long one there, the little one. No, the little one. Open that one second. No,
This
open that
one?
one second.
Okay,
Open
open
that one
this one.
first. Okay. So this is
okay.
your
feels
Bucky's
like
gift.
a Bucky's candy.
yeah, and you
It's
do
just
like
gonna be
those.
her-
Oh, beaver nuggets.
There you
yes,
go.
I
See?
love my
You got the
beaver
food.
nuggets.
There you go, and you love that. Okay, so
I
that's one
do,
gift.
but-
Okay, so open your other one. Open your only other one.
So ungrateful.
I know, really,
What
right?
in the world?
Yeah, you did good. I mean, focus on, look, if the Bible has taught us nothing, it's taught us to be thankful for what we do have and not what we don't have,
It's
Betty Rock.
heavy.
It's not a good look for the children that are listening
Stop.
right now.
Very heavy.
Ooh, that sounded thumpy.
A beaver nuggets candle?
Yes!
What in the world?
I know, right? Because
oh my
Open that
gosh.
right now.
you love candles, and it's a
Woo!
Bucky's Beaver Nuggets
Yeah,
candle.
That is awesome.
So there you go.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, now
Wow.
here's the deal. I'm going to give you a minute to think about this. You have a chance to maybe get some of your presents back, and I'm going to give you a chance to think about it. We'll do that in 10 right here on The Wally Show. Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show, and we are celebrating Betty Rock's birthday, as we should. We started off giving her 6 presents from Buc-ee's because she loves Buc-ee's. She won 2, had to give back 4. She has since opened everything, so she knows what she had. She got to keep a candle and beaver nuggets. She loves that. She missed out on a super nice Buc-ee's sweater, a T-shirt, coloring book and crayons, and a cup holder for her cart that she has. So now that's a big loss, okay?
Yeah.
Now, there's still 2 presents from Gavin. Gavin gave you 2 presents. So here's your choice. You can give back the 4 Buc-ee's things for the 2 Gavin presents, or you can have your 4 Buc-ee's things and Gavin gets to return his gifts.
It's a tough thing because
You don't know what Gavin got you.
and they're not Buc-ee's related, and everything over there is quite good.
Stuff you know you like,
Yeah.
but then Gavin's could be like, or Gavin's could be like, man, he knocked it out of the park.
And Wally is a better gift giver than I am.
Let me ask a question.
Okay, yes, please.
Could I perhaps
Oh, 2 for 1?
choose the 2 gifts that I would like to give in exchange for Gavin's 2 gifts?
No, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's all 4 gifts for Gavin's 2.
She's trying to make a deal.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So
Gavin, I'm going to ask you, should I trade the coloring book, the jacket, the T-shirt, and the cup holder?
Gavin, did you keep your receipt, by the way?
Yeah, you can keep all that. I'll just return it and get my
There you go.
$100
No, wait,
back.
I don't want that.
Get my $1,000
No, I
back.
don't want that. No.
So what are you gonna do, Lady Rock?
I think it's tough because those are all really awesome. But, shirts are shirts. And
Yeah, and so maybe he got you something better. Or not.
Who knows?
This is like,
You
let's
may
make a
never
deal.
know.
I know, because we're not going to open them if you say no. You have to make the decision before we open them and find out what you would have got.
I'm going to open them.
You're giving me these back, and you're taking Gavin's too.
that
No,
includes
wait,
your...
can I choose? I want to choose.
No, you
That's
cannot
not
choose.
fair.
You cannot choose because
I-
you would give back the coloring book, obviously, because it's the lowest price item, so it doesn't work that way.
No, I'm keeping it.
Are you keeping it?
Oh,
All right. Well, let's
all right.
open up Gavin's and see what you
Okay.
passed on.
This will be, interesting. Okay, so... My wife is so good at wrapping things.
You know
Okay.
what? I'm sure people are listening right now going, why don't you just give her stuff? Well, that's just not how it works.
That's
here.
not how it works.
That's too kind.
It's weird opening
Yeah.
not my present
I
here.
know. Okay, what was present number 1?
This was a Bob Ross kind of action figure
Oh!
that when you put him in direct sunlight, after a little while, he does a little shaky dance
Oh, and you have direct sunlight
I
right by
need
your
that.
desk. Oh,
So-
no.
I didn't know I needed it till now.
thing. I'm going to put that on my desk now.
Yes!
And then the second one was
Oh, that's so good.
it was a solve your own murder mystery game.
What? No, I need that.
And you play games and you like murder stuff.
So,
Oh.
and this is I don't even like this. So
I know. I would return that.
Can
yeah, that I'm going to return.
Can I?
No, too late now. No, too late now. So enjoy your Beaver Nuggets candle and your Beaver Nuggets.
I need the booty shaking Bob Ross.
I know you do, but you know what? It just didn't go your way this year. But you know what? We love you and happy birthday.
Uplifting Way FM.
If no news is good news, this is great news.
That's not really a joke.
I disagree. I find it hilarious.
It's news-ish on The Wally Show.
I do have some great news for Betty Rock because Betty has trouble with her passwords and remembering them. She actually had a dedicated employee named Steve who was here to help her remember her passwords and log her into things.
And he was great at it. Like his face could unlock my phone. He could have easily robbed me blind,
Yeah.
but he knew all my passwords.
And now he's gone.
And I'm lost.
But here's the good thing, because you can still call him and everything, but now you can let him retire because Google is making passwords maybe a thing of the past. What?
Okay, that's kind of good. I
Yeah,
think.
that's kind of great. I hate having to remember so many different passwords, and maybe if they do it, other companies will be able to use the technology too, so we can stop this nonsense. So it's called Passkeys, okay? And the way it works is you enable the Passkey inside of Google on your trusted device, and then it works in the background seamlessly to identify that device and then you can just log in. Now, you'll have to still do whatever you do on your phone if you use your fingerprint or your face or a passcode when you're using things. That's the norm, but it will do all the other stuff in the background for you.
I have a feeling, though, there's going to be something frustrating about it. It won't be long before I hear you in the background going, what the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that there will be something that it seems too good to be true. Honestly, you're right. This does seem like a unicorn.
Yeah.
It seems too good to be true, but they've had to do this because basically passwords are too easy to steal or defeat, apparently. And they say that like 12 character passwords are the way to go. 12 to 14 characters will get you covered for the most part. It's really hard to crack those, but who does that? Most of us don't.
No.
And people for years have been using password 123.
I mean, because it's too hard to remember.
And when everybody wants a passcode for something,
Right.
and if you use the same passcode and your identity gets stolen, it gets used everywhere. That's the advantage of the passkeys, is they're good only for the site that you're at, and so they can't take the passkey from, say, your H&M website and then take it and go to your bank.
Right.
If you've used the same password
Right.
kind of thing. So if you want to start using them, you're like, oh, this sounds good. It's enabled right now. You just have to do it inside of your Google account. Look, I could tell you all the steps to do it and stuff like that. You're not going to remember them. You're not going to write them down right now. So just remember the word passkeys, okay? If you remember that, Google passkeys, it'll tell you how to do that.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Let's say I want to set this up.
Yes.
Are they going to need to know my password before I set it up?
Absolutely, and that's where your host probably rock. She's like, I knew there was a problem. All right, it's Big Daddy Weave, the only name, Way FM.
Uplifting Way FM.
Stories that
accentuate the positive.
it's the Wally Show.
All right, Gavin, what you got?
I love it when a town has an obscure thing that it's famous for. Take, for example, Hastings, Nebraska. I've lived in Nebraska.
You have?
There's not much out there.
Okay.
But if you're driving through Hastings, Nebraska anytime soon, you're going to see a 6-foot-tall statue of the Kool Aid Man.
Oh, yeah. That's what he used to say when he used to break through a wall.
Oh, so good. And the guy who invented Kool-Aid did live in Hastings, Nebraska, so now there's a statue there. And for me, Kool-Aid is something that automatically transports me back to my
Yes.
childhood, making a 2-gallon container of that stuff and then drinking 3 or 4 cups of
back
sugar.
in the day, like it was never, when I was young, you had to get the small pack and you had to add sugar to it.
Yes.
And then your mom would never add enough sugar to it because
Yep.
it was expensive. And sometimes she would just use food coloring and water and tell us it was Kool-Aid. But I grew up poorer than you. But it was like when you got the full sugared Kool-Aid, oh, so good.
It's like one of those things that you know it's too sweet, but you don't
care. No.
So for me, that's something that takes me back to my childhood. And I actually found this article that made a top list of things that takes most people back to their childhood.
Okay, I'd be curious where you land because you're younger than Betty.
I know, like we're all in different generations
Yeah.
here, so I don't know if this hits home for everybody. Kool-Aid was on this list,
Sure.
so that makes some sense. Hasbro is on the list.
Yeah, Hasbro was games.
Yeah.
Like Milton Bradley and stuff like that. They had a bunch of games.
Absolutely. Mattel.
Yeah,
which
same
is,
thing.
Is that Barbie?
Mattel Barbie. And then
Okay.
Mattel also had, I think they might have done like Tonka trucks eventually.
Okay.
Like they
I think
and they had
so.
a bunch of toys. Mattel was toys.
Okay, Monopoly, the game, the board game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No? Not so
No,
much?
we didn't play a lot of that as a kid. It took too long.
Okay.
My family's not that patient.
I play it right now, and it's like a 3-hour event, and
No.
I feel impatient. Play-Doh.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
I cannot
it's been around forever.
tell you how many tubs of Play-Doh I ate as a kid.
I was going to say,
8?
it's kind of edible looking.
Yeah, I know. But
Easily.
It's not good.
No.
Yeah, it's not good.
Kids, do not eat
No,
Play-Doh.
absolutely
You're
do
seeing
not.
firsthand how it can affect your life.
Yeah, there are some lasting
For the
effects.
negative.
Is that why you're short now?
Yeah, that's why I'm short. And
Is that why you're
weird
doughy?
colors come out of me. And doughy. Thank you, Rock. That was funny. I'm gonna give you some love on
Thank
that one.
you. Thank you.
Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show, and there's times you'll hear something that's kind of profound about God, and then you hear that saying, "Consider the source," and you're like, "Oh, well, that's from an unlikely source." I kind of didn't see that coming, and there was a interview that Pastor Greg Laurie was doing with Alice Cooper, of all people.
Rock?
Yeah, the shock rock guy from years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And so people don't know this about, a lot of people don't know this about Alice, is that he's a born-again believer, and I believe his dad was a pastor, and he walked way away from it. Way away from it. But his take on coming back to his faith was really, really interesting and kind of surprising.
A lot of people say, I came to Christ because my love of Jesus. I came to Christ because of my fear of God. I totally understood that hell was not getting high with Jim Morrison. Hell was going to be the worst place ever. In fear, I came back to the Lord. But I went to another church, and that pastor preached the love of Christ, which now you put the two together, and it was exactly right.
What does that mean when you say accepted Christ? What does it mean to accept Christ?
Well, I don't think we accept Christ. I think we accept the fact that he accepted us. But when the Lord opens your eyes and you suddenly realize who you are and who he is, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, there was a couple things in there that I thought were really interesting, that we accept Christ, what he did for us. We believe it, we accept that, and it's his acceptance of us in the first place. What a good flip of the script.
Well, and it also sounds like what the difference was he found a church that preached on the love that Christ has for him. Maybe he was previously in a church where it was all about hell,
fire and brimstone.
Yeah, and so maybe that's something that he needed to hear, be reminded of.
But it's interesting that the hellfire and brimstone is what connected with him because of where he was, but then it's one element of the story.
Yeah.
And that's where balance is so important, because then another pastor tells him about, you don't have to fear God. It's good to have a healthy fear of God kind of thing, but not fearing him. Like fear of the Lord, it's different than I'm scared of you. It's reverence, it's awe.
Respect
is what it means. It's not fear. And so understanding that was pivotal in his faith. And so I think a lot of people will be shocked that they just learned a grip about faith from Alice Cooper.
Oh, for sure.
Which is great. But again, we all grow, and I think it's really cool to see somebody come to faith later in life, especially because it's harder, and from that kind of a past. I think it carries a little bit of weight. And so this is what we're talking about with you right now. What is that spiritual lesson you got from an unlikely source? It could have been a movie that wasn't a Christian movie. It could have been a song, not a Christian song. Somebody that, typically doesn't run in Christian circles, but you learned something and you were able to pull something out about your faith, from that. I'd love to hear these stories because I think they're important, because God is all around us. We put him in a church box and we're like, okay, this is where God lives. But he doesn't. He uses things that have nothing to do with him, on the surface. But he can use that to impart his truth and his wisdom to us. So what's yours? 855-33-WAY-FM. That's 855-33-WAY-FM. We'll take your spiritual lesson from an unlikely source right now. What is that spiritual lesson, Nicole, you got from an unlikely source?
Well, my ex-in-laws. I got married right out of high school into a family that was supposed to be very religious, very loving, very kind, and they actually turned out to be completely opposite that. And I believe the lesson I learned was what God's love and faith truly is. Outside the church I've been going to for almost 4 years now, and I have never been so comfortable at a place than I am at this one. And they have taught me and my family what it is to be a Christian, what it is to be a follower of God. And both of my kids now, 13 and 11, chose to get baptized there years back.
See, I think that's the rule, though, or the other lesson in this is you can't look at people. Because even the best people unintentionally are going to let us down from time to time. Or then you see people that maybe aren't the best versions or representations of their faith. They're going to let you down. And that's why it's so important to do what the song says. Keep your eyes upon Jesus. Because that is the one person, that will not let you down throughout your life.
Exactly.
So, Crystal, what is yours?
The story is that my father passed away, unfortunately, a few weeks ago. And as he was transitioning from the hospital into the hospice, there was one morning my mom and I were just really tired. She said, you know what, why don't you go to the gym, try to get your mind off of things. And so I went to the gym, and every time I went to this gym, I was drawn to this lady who appeared to be homeless. at a bus stop. And this, I don't know, third or fourth time I went to this gym, I was driving home. I was halfway home, and I felt the Holy Spirit tell me, turn around and go talk to her. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to follow. And so I turned around, I got some cash, I went and talked to her. And as I approached her, her posture kind of stiffened as if she wanted nothing to do with me. And I said, hi. And she shook her head and kind of motioned for me to go away. And I said, this might sound weird, but I felt like God told me to come talk to you. And her posture started to soften a bit. And then we ended up talking for about an hour.
Oh, wow.
And it turns out she's a sister in Christ. She comforted me about what I was going through with my dad, who's also a great man of faith. I was being obedient in that moment because I vowed to my dad I would live out his legacy. And that is something he would have done. And at the end of our talk, I tried to give her the cash, and she wouldn't take it.
Oh, wow. What a great all-around story. Here you are thinking you're going to bless her, but then you ended up getting a blessing out of it as well, and living out a promise to your dad.
100%.
Well, Crystal, I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. It's a great story.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, I hope you have a great day. I am sorry to hear about your dad. I know how hard that is. I lost my dad, and it's not fun ever, and it never gets to where it's okay, but it does get a little easier.
Yes, thank you so much. I know I'll see him again.
Okay. Well, do you have any of that cash left over? Because I was comforting.
I'll send it over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Crystal.
I'll never forget taking my first compassion trip, and we went to Ghana, Africa. When we got there to the site, there was this little girl. She was 6 years old. I later found out her name was Vivian, and she would not let go of my hand. She followed me everywhere I went on that site. And later I got to meet her family. I met her mother and her siblings, and they all lived in this little mud hut. I mean, it wasn't big at all. And when I looked at Vivian, she had the biggest smile on her face, and she was just happy to be there, just happy to be with us. And it made such an impact in my life that I wanted to sponsor her right then and there. Because of my sponsorship for Vivian through Compassion, I'm able to write letters back and forth with her. I'm now getting updated photos, and now I think she's even taller than me, which is crazy to think. But I'm also able to see how my sponsorship is providing the food, clean water, and other support that she needs and her family needs to live the best life possible. And I can only imagine now with the pandemic, war, and weather disasters, there are so many other families like Vivian's who are dealing with hunger. So maybe you want to make an impact and sponsor your own Vivian. Just click the Compassion banner when you go to wayfm.com.
Uplifting Way FM. If it's trending, streaming, or starring, Betty Rock's got it. On the Rock Report. Hey, Betty.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives show host Guy Fieri, which I can't stand his last name because I want to say Fieri.
Yeah.
Fieri.
But then he says Guy Fieri, and it's like, wait, how did those R's become T's?
Yeah,
It's
not
Italian.
right.
I've never heard Italian R's pronounced as T's.
Yeah,
but
that's ridiculous. Because Italian, we don't say Iralian.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Or like fettuccine.
Right, exactly.
Alfredo.
See, you get it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Guy
Yeah,
Fieri.
now you can't even say
I want to
it.
say Guy Fettuccine.
Yeah.
Guy Fieri.
Same thing.
He likes to use the time that he has off to do good for his community, like
that's
his most recent venture, serving over 500 meals at the Special Olympics in Northern
nice.
California,
Wow.
which is so awesome. And he didn't do it alone. He actually partnered with a local high school and their culinary program. He taught the students how to cook and prep the lunches for the 500 athletes.
Nice.
Then he also brought with him his two kids, 26-year-old Hunter and 17-year-old Ryder. And already this is awesome as it is, but I love that his 26-year-old son and his 17-year-old son want to spend time with him.
Oh,
And want
absolutely.
to help and want to see him do good.
I think his older son has been on a couple of his shows with him and done like diners, drive-ins, and dives and stuff, and he kind of
he's
likes
really
cooking.
brought him up in that industry, and
Yeah.
I think he's also likes to cook. His
Yeah.
younger son likes to cook. They bring him on, and they make it like a family show sometimes.
You know the thing I really like about this, though, Rock? I think you're right in that, that old saying, teach a man to fish, feed a man to fish, he eats for a day, teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And I love that he could have just done this with his company and fed these kids at the Special Olympics and these people at the Special Olympics. Like, great, and that's a great story. But the fact that he partnered with a high school and taught them the importance of giving back. Learning a trade is great, but giving back and serving people that maybe could be forgotten, that's a life lesson that those kids will forever have with them. And I do respect that about him. That's really, really cool. And that's going to do it for your Rock Report. Thank you, Lady Rock. Uplifting Way FM. This is The Wally Show. And recently we came across this article about Jeff Bridges. He's an actor. And I didn't know this, but he had cancer and COVID. So two big things to battle.
At the very same time.
Yeah, I can't even imagine one of those, much less two big things. But it made him look on the bright side a little bit. He says, when you get close to losing something like that, your gratitude and your thankfulness for what you have, the people that you love, and the love that you feel for your loved ones just grows. It magnifies, you know? And so he's in the middle of going through something horrible that you wouldn't wish on anybody. But there's times when you're in those places that it causes you to reflect. And as believers, we go through hard times, and I truly believe that we learn more about who God is, and we learn more about who we are and who God is to us in the hard times, far more than in the good times.
I wish I could say it was the opposite.
I know, it would be easy, right?
I wish I could say we learned so much in the good times, but we really don't.
Yeah.
That's the times we take things for granted. But when you are in danger of losing something that is precious to you, or when you're in danger of losing, you just realize what things are special.
Yeah.
So,
and living that life with an attitude of gratitude is transformative. I mean, and it's something. There's some days I do it really well, and there's some days I do it horribly. You know, and I wish I did it better. You know, because it makes life better too. And so we're just kind of curious. Like, that's Jeff Bridges' story. I don't know where he lands on faith. You know, but for us as believers, it's like, what was that tough thing that maybe taught you to be thankful for something else in your life, you know? Because again, like when God takes something away, he gives something else a lot of times and gets you through something. And I think that that's the case with any hardship.
Yeah, and it may be something that you've had all your life, but when this horrible thing happened, you realize, wow, this is something I really take for granted and I am super thankful for.
And it could be something really simple. That's the thing about it. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be, well, now I'm thankful for my health, but it could be one moment or one thing somebody did, or, you know, something like that. But it could be really simple, and you found a new gratitude, and it changed your perspective. So we'd love to have your thoughts on this, because you never know, man. Your thoughts might really help somebody that's stuck in that cycle right now. 855-33-WAY-FM. That's 855-33-WAY-FM. We'd love to get your perspective on this now. What is that tough thing that taught you thankfulness?
I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and the Lord miraculously healed me. There's just no way around it. The doctors had told me pretty much that I had the most aggressive cancer. Well, through that, now every scan we do, there's no cancer. I mean, God miraculously, he did a miracle. But through all of that, it is true what he said, because when you get those words, you're diagnosed with something that, you know, is actually, you know, terminal, it's fatal. Automatically, everything goes through your mind about your family, you know, your everything. And so now it's like when that happens and you get that second chance through the mercy and grace of God, it's like you start taking advantage of every day, every breath, every moment with every family member, your friends, people you love. And then the things that used to stress you out, it's like, you know, you don't sweat the small stuff anymore.
What is that thing that you see many of us take for granted that maybe you did in the past until you were diagnosed? What's that one thing?
I think the one thing is that we take for granted the moments that we do have with those that we love. Sometimes we let life get too busy. I'm a very busy person, as most of us usually are. And I think we get so busy and take for granted that person will always be there, or that we will always have the opportunity to see that person. And it can be taken that quickly. And so now it's like, don't be too busy, because tomorrow may not be there.
So what was something tough that kind of had a transformation into thankfulness for you, Zena?
So for me, I went through a lot of loss, especially during COVID. My husband's grandmother, who was actually the person who introduced us, I was very close to her as well. She passed away. 6 months after that, my mother passed away. 2 weeks after that, my father went to prison for life. And then I experienced some very difficult, I went to a difficult place mentally during COVID and everything. And so I was actually put into a mental facility for 8 days. I wasn't able to see my children, but I'm happy to report that through all of that, once I got out, I was given this strength and determination that only God can provide. And my husband and I went through a time of separation, and I'm happy to report that God can heal anything. My husband is the man today because of his faith and because God has changed that entire relationship.
What do you think you learned about your relationship with God during this? Because it's one of those things when you've checked into a mental facility, and I have to imagine that you felt pretty alone or forgotten or not seen. And so what do you think your takeaway about God was?
That actually was one of the times I think I got the deepest in my Bible as well. I was happy to say that they did have Bibles I was able to get, and that without that strength, I don't know that I would have gotten through that, because it was a very difficult time. I felt extremely alone. It was everything at once, and I felt so alone, but then I remembered you're never really alone. God is there, and if you give it to him, he will give you this peace and this comfort that you can't get from anywhere else. And it's been 1 year since this month, actually. And my children are happily in the car with me. They're homeschooled until the end of this year. They're going back into school, and we're all doing way better.
Uplifting Way FM, this is The Wally Show, and we're kicking off our support drive tomorrow. But if you wanted to help out and be one of the 100 people that we're looking for ahead of time to say, yeah, I'll do that $20 a month. If you need a little head start going into this, that would be huge right now, because you might know about the music that we play and you go, okay, that's a big part of the ministry. I get that. But there's so much other stuff that happens beneath the surface. And one of those things is making sure that people get the Word of God into their hands and for free. Now, it's not free to us, but it's free to them. And that's what I love, is that people will support this ministry, and that's just one area or one place that your generosity is going to. And I can't think of a much better way to spend those resources than on people getting the Word of God. And Pastor Chad's here. You're over that entire part of our ministry, and you get to see and read responses from people every day about why they want Bibles, right?
We try to mail out at least 400, if not more, every month.
That's
free
amazing.
Bibles to people. And let me tell you, the first time I started doing this, my jaw kind of dropped when I saw the amount of money it costs for the postage for every Bible, because they're not light. It's not like 25 cents. It costs us $4 in just postage to send that to someone.
Because it's a good Bible too, and it's not like just the New Testament and this tiny little print thing. Like, it's a really good Bible.
I've been around a lot of ministries where they, and frankly, even myself in church ministry, where we offered people who came to visit the church a free Bible, and you buy them the thin little New Testament because they're small, they're cheap, they cost $1. At Way FM, we have gone above and beyond. We have a great partnership with Tyndale to be able to offer people the New Living Translation, which is a great translation. People often ask me, hey, what's a great translation for kids? I just say the New Living Translation. My kids read it, who are 10 years old, 11-year-old. They can read it very well. And not only do we offer the New Living Translation, which is a great translation, but we offer a Bible called the Help Finder Bible. Every year we discuss it and decide, should we do a different Bible or whatever, but hands down, people have loved the Help Finder Bible. About the first third of it is all categories of different Bible verses, helping you just to understand the Bible, helping you to find if I'm looking on something for depression, if I'm looking on something on who is the Holy Spirit. It's all there for people at the beginning.
So you might have listened to Way FM for years, and you might have 4 Bibles sitting within arm's reach right now, because, I mean, that's just like, if you've grown up in church, it's kind of what it is. And you take that for granted, that not everybody's in that place. Not everyone can afford a Bible and stuff like that. But you know how important the Word of God is in your life. And so maybe that's like the key for you to saying, oh, okay, I get this. I want to help out. I want to be part of a ministry that's all about putting the Bibles in people's hands for free. Sign me up. How do I do that? It's very simple. You can give us that head start before we get into Sport Drive tomorrow by just texting the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 91979, and you can support this ministry and do ministry with us. And when you do, please fill out the little box that says why you're choosing to give today. That really helps us know, and it also might inspire somebody else too to get involved as well. So again, give to 91979. We'll send you a link.
Well, that's the end, but it doesn't have to be. Check out our Aftercast. It's new stuff you didn't hear in the podcast. Be sure to rate us on iTunes as well as connect with us on social media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Just search Wally Show. And if you'd like to join our Facebook group made exclusively for you potties, the link is in the description of this podcast. Thanks to Colorado Christian University Online and United Faith Mortgage for supporting what we do.